Okay, then, hello all, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to Global Biz Apps Weekend. And we are here to have a discussion around Microsoft Power Platform COE. So, whenever we develop any of the applications around Power Platform, so it could be any of the app, even could be model driven or a Canvas app, or even Power Portals, or even Flows, Power Virtual Agents, and all those things. So we want that each one in the organization should use that, but again at the same time we should have some kind of an governance, some kind of an guidance, or how they will be able to do that. So in this session we will see how those center of excellence will help us to perform all those things, and then we will look into all of those components and other things. So agenda for the session will be like we will have a quick introduction to COE starter kit, what is mean by that, and then how it help us to perform or have those governance as well as the guidance to all of our users in the organization. And then there are certain modules associated with COE starter kit. So we will explore all of those. At the same time, for example, if you're interested to get it set up inside of your organization, even we will see how we can do that. But at the same time, any of the product comes with its limitations. So also we will explore those limitations what we have with COE starter kit. Before we start the session, quick introduction. Myself and Deep Nachan. I'm from Pune, India, and then Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services, as well as Microsoft Certified Trainer. Author of couple of books on SharePoint Framework as well as SharePoint Hybrid. And onto the right hand side, here are few of the social handles through which you will be able to get in touch with me for any of the discussions around Microsoft 365 Power Platform or anything else. And with me today is Smita.
Hello, all. Myself Smita Natset. I'm from Pune, India. I'm a Microsoft MVP and MCT, author of one book, and these are some of my social handles by which you can get in touch with me. Yeah, so let's start with this Power Platform COE, that is the Center of Excellence starter kit. So this COE is an organization drives innovation and improvement and brings together like-minded people with similar business goal to share the knowledge and success while at the same time providing the standard consistency and governance to this organization. So Microsoft Power Platform COE Starter Kits is a collection of components and tools that are designed to help you to get started with developing a strategy for adopting and supporting Microsoft Power Platform with a focus on Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent. So this kit does not represent the entire COE because managing a COE requires more than a tools alone. The CA also requires people, communication, and defined requirements and the processes. So this kit provides some automation and tooling to help the teams to build monitoring and automation necessary to support COE. So the foundation of the kit is like a Microsoft Dataverse data model and workflows to collect the resource information across the environments in the tenant. Also, the kit includes the multiple apps and Power BI analytics to view and interact with the data you are collecting. And in addition to flows to collect the data across environments and help with the workflows for your compliance needs. The kit also provides several templates and suggested patterns and practices for implementing COE efforts. Let's see this available admin tools. So establishing a Microsoft Power Platform COE means investigating in and nurturing organic growth while maintaining governance and control. A COE is designed to drive innovation and improvement, and as a central function, it can break down geographic and organizational silos. A COE can be a powerful way for an organization to align around a business goal rather than the individual department metrics. So this Power Platform COE takes the ownership of Microsoft Power Platform administration, nurturing, and operation support. So to do that, you will need to use the administrative functions in a Microsoft Power Platform. So the admin and governance tools falls into three broad categories. The first one is the admin center, then the platform extension and the templates and the customization. So let's see the first one, admin center. The core most important capabilities for admins and makers are the functions in the core product admin center. So these features are designed to be easiest and the most robust way to complete the task and are fully supported by the engineering team. So the environment and environment security management, data loss, DLP policy management, the data integration and gateway management. So the admin analytics like to view the capacity and activity on Microsoft Dataverse, Power Apps and Power Automate also support the ticket request. So let's see about this platform extension. So these are four connectors which provide access to the same APIs that the products and the admin center use. These have been exposed through the connectors library to give user the ability to create a custom solutions to execute administrative or governance related tasks. So these four are Power Platform for admins, Power Apps for admins, Power Automate, and Power Apps for makers. The last one is the templates and customization. So the COE starter kit falls into this category. The COE templates use the admin connectors in combination with other connector and a formula to achieve a specific goals. The nature of a template is to provide a good solution for a specific task, but it might not have the exact functionality that you need. So you might have to adjust it to achieve what you are looking for.
So now that before we get started into looking into the COE starter kit, let's get introduced to those components and then let's have a demo of it, like how does it look, and then we will go into the details of each of those modules that we have. So as we said, this COE starter kit will allow the organization to monitor the apps flows, power automate the connectors and other things that we have in the organization. At the same time, it will help you to govern all of those. And then again, we want all of us in the organization to grow and start using this Power Platform. Then the nurture component will come into the picture there, through which we'll be able to help your makers, giving some good insights, and then again have the adoption of Microsoft Power Platform inside the organization. So this is just the snapshot of the Power BI report that we have. But now that let's get started and start looking into that Power BI dashboard first. So right now I'm into my Power Platform environment, and this is the dashboard, CU dashboard that how it will look. So here onto the basic level, we again have those monitor, govern, and nurture component. So best way to start with the CU starter kit is to open up this Power BI dashboard and get yourself familiarized with resources and makers that are already in your environment. So from here you will be able to see all of those makers that we have. That means all of the other users along with us who are using Power Platform to create the apps, flows, and other part. Then again, the next thing is that we should get identify those orphaned apps, and then, for example, if those are orphaned, in that case, we should assign them some new owners by using those embedded app in the Power BI dashboard kind of a thing. So quickly, like through the introduction part, we should be able to see all those tiles. But as we go along, we should be able to get the entire information about the Power Apps, like the number of environments that we have, the app makers inside of your organization, even the custom connectors that you have, and other part. Again, when you go to the Power Automate section, it will give you the similar information but pertaining to Power Automate part. Thirdly, we do have this chatbots, which is nothing but PVA, Power Virtual Agents, which will or this dashboard will give you information about the existence of chatbot throughout all of those environments, and then who are those makers, and probably if needed, we can have a conversation with them. And again, this section will give the entire information about the environments that we have, and then again based on the environments how the apps as well as the cloud flows utilization in those environment. Again, this environment will include both Power Automate and Power Platform environment as well as Dataverse for Microsoft Teams, because at the end again it is kind of an environment that is being monitored through a Power Platform admin center. Again, from here, we'll be able to see those environment capabilities. Probably I will not go into the details of each of those, but just wanted to surface what are the possibilities that we have. And then again, for example, if you want to get associated with the makers from your city or from your country, even you should be able to do that. Because since this one is just a demo tenant, I just have one user being active here. But when you will have it deployed inside your organization, you will be able to see that entire data, and then again the app makers who are active from your city, and then you will be able to use that. Again, for example, if you think that few of the apps are very good for the organization, but at the same time you want to keep track of the app usage, in that case, this is the best place for that. And for example, if you see that the app usage is down, or we don't see those kind of an involvements with the users for those apps, probably this is the best place from where we'll be able to get that insights and then drive the adoption of all of those apps inside our organization. So this dashboard will give you that entire information. The other part also that we have here is something called as a developer compliance center. So which we will see it here. Again, at the same time, we do have a separate demo around that. So all of the apps are available here. We will see like how those can be seen from here. But only thing is like probably we can just go ahead and locate the developer compliance center. So again, this developer compliance center app will help you to start planning your governance strategy by identifying your requirements for what makes a compliant app or maker, and what information you will need per app or per app maker, and what happens to the non-compliant apps as well as the makers, and how you will support your maker community within the organization for building compliant apps that follows best practices, what audits you want to run, as well as what actions you will drive based on those audits. So just as an example here, for example, if you see, this is the app that I had created, but this one is with a red color. And then if I go into the details, obviously this one is not compliant. So that's the reason we do have that red symbol there. And then again, from here, you'll be able to see that there are certain things which I haven't mentioned in this particular app. So for example, I can go into the edit file setting, then add the description, and then again publish the app. Because the reason is like I want that everyone in the organization should be aware of the description of the app before they get into the app and start using it, because sometimes the titles may be misleading. So this is how you will be able to set those governance. But this app will give you that kind of an dashboard through which you will be able to see which are those apps as well as those app makers which are not compliant. So we have separate tabs for each of those, like Canvas app, model driven apps. Even for example, we can extend Power Apps within SharePoint forms to get our SharePoint forms modified or customized. So even that information will be here, as well as forms, chatbots, and if you have any of the custom connector builds, even that information will be here. And from here, we'll be able to track all those non-compliant app as well as the app makers. So now that let's start looking into those COE starter kit modules that we have, which composes all of this COE.
So the first one is the building blocks. So the center of excellence starter kits is shipped in a multiple components. So in the building blocks, it comes with the core components, governance components, and nurture components. So let's see all of them one by one. So the first one is the core components, and these components provide what you need to get started with the setting up the COE kit. So they sync all your resources into the Dataverse tables and build admin apps on the top of that to help you to get a more visibility of the apps, flows, and makers that exist in your environment. So additionally, apps like DLP editor and setup app permission help with the daily admin tasks. So the COE core component solution contains the assets that are only relevant to the admins. The next one is the governance components. So after you have become familiar with your environment and resources, you might start thinking about audit and compliance processes for your apps. And you might want to gather additional information about your apps from your makers or audit specific connectors or apps usage. The apps and flows that are a part of this solution will help you to get started. So the governance component solution contains the assets that are relevant to the admins and the maker. The last one over here is a nurture component. So an essential part of establishing a COE is nurturing your makers and creating an internal community. So you will want to share the best practices and the templates and onboard new makers. The assets that are the part of the solution can help develop a strategy for this motion. So the nurture component solution contains the assets that are relevant to everyone in the organization, like admins, makers, and users of apps and flows. So the next one is the standalone add-ons. So it contains these theming components, application lifecycle management components, and innovation backlog components. So this theming components is a frequent ask from the organization in which makers create a canvas apps is the ability to apply theme specifically, the ability to create apps that match the organizational brand. The assets in this solution will help you to create, manage, and share the themes. So the theming component solution contains the assets that are relevant to the makers and the designer. So these application lifecycle management components, AIM, this called as ALM components, are intended to provide Power Platform Maker guidance on creating a healthy ALM practices for their solution as a part of their overall DevOps strategy. So this application lifecycle management accelerate for the maker component solution contains the assets that are relevant to the makers and the admins. And this innovation backlog component solution contains the assets that are relevant to everyone in the organization. So let's see these core components. So these components provides the core to get started with setting up a COE. They sync all your resources into the tables and build the admin apps on top of that to help you to get a more visibility of the apps, flows, and makers in your environment. So additionally, apps like the setup permissions help with daily admin tasks. The core component solution contains the assets relevant to admins. So let's see this core solutions assets. So here on the screen, you can see a breakdown of the assets that form the core component. So the first one is the catalog tenant resources. So the Microsoft Dataverse table, so the environment, app, flows, and more. Then admin sync v3 flow to the all apps, cloud, and desktop flows, cloud flow, action details, custom connectors, model driven apps shared with information and chatbot. Then the admin welcome email, Power BI dashboard, Power Platform admin view, model driven app. Then we have a bulk change permission for apps and flow, like set app permission for Canvas app, set the flow permission, and the app catalog.
So let's see like from where all of those assets come from. Okay, so just to show you in a reality, so we have some kind of an solutions that we should bring into our environment. So we can build our environment, and in that environment we should bring in all of those components, including the core components, nurture component, as well as the governance component. So these are nothing but some kind of a zip files which are available from Microsoft. Even we will show you the location from where you can get those, and then once you add them inside of your environment, you will get all of those functionality. So let's say, for example, we explore into this core components. So once we go into the core components, these core components will have various other things, including the apps, flows, as well as tables, and many more things which you can see onto this left hand side. So this core component has got various flows which will run at a scheduled interval. It will pull out the information about all of the apps, bots, even the flows that you have inside of your organization, and it will populate that entire information in somewhere which is called as a dataverse tables. Okay, so this is how those core component works. And now that let's have look at those tables. Because for example, if you have a look at the tables or the flows here, they are many, but because at least we have around 35 tables. I don't want to get into each of those, but at least we do have certain more functionality driven tables, and then let's look at those tables. So simply it's like the sync flows of this COE starter kit sync your tenant resources to various Dataverse tables, and those includes your flow, bot, apps, and other things. And all of these table provide information about who created that app when, and then again who modified when, and then again additional resource specific information for that app. So first table that we have here is the environment, which represents your environment object, which contains app flows and connectors. Then we do have other table called as a Power Apps app, which is a table that represents app store app kind of an information like the app ID, display name, owner, who created, when created, and all those things. Similarly, we do have table for flow, which is the same thing, like who created, when it was created, and other thing. And then we do have more specific table about this flow called as a flow action details, which represents set of actions which can occur in a cloud flow. And then we do have other tables related to the Power Apps connector, Power Apps portal, the connection reference, which has got specific information about those Power Apps connectors which we build or customly use within our organization. At the same time, we do have this maker table. So this represents all of those users who has created at least one flow, one app, custom connectors, or any of the environment within your organization. And then we do have supporting tables for audit log, which will obviously stand for all of the session details for your Power Apps. And then again, we do have other tables related to the users who are performing certain roles inside of your organizations. And those are this Power Platform user and Power Platform user role. And then we have these four tables or at least five tables which are specifically for Power Virtual Agents. So it represents all of those bots in a Power Virtual Agent. And then again, we do have PVA component flow, which represents all of those flows triggered as a part of your Power Virtual Agents. And then again, RPA is simply all of those desktop flows and as well as the desktop flow sessions that we have within our Power Platform. So these are all of the major tables that we have, and at the same time we have three specific tables for the environment, including the capacity, which stores the capacity information for your environment. Then we do have an add-ons table which stores the add-on information for your environment, and then we do have this lastly business area table which represents the owning business area for your environment. And at the same time we do have certain helper tables, because as we said previously, the information in these tables will be populated from flows. So for example, if that flow fails, then we should have certain information recorded for those failed flows, and all of those information will go into this first table. Then also we have got archive approval. So we'll see like even there is some kind of an approval process which will go through for apps and the flows, and all of the information on those archive request has been sent to the makers and app and makers of these apps and flows, and it will be stored in this information. And then again, we want to have some governance around the environment creation inside of our organization, and then all of those requests will fall through this table. And then we do have a specific table for the DLP, data loss prevention policies change request, and all of the data pertaining to that will be stored in this last table. So we have around 35 tables here. I don't want to go through all those, but at least why we have those many tables and what is the significance of each of this table, I guess this slide shows that. The second part to this core assets that we have is this flows, because as we said, flows is the core part of this core solution which can run through your environment, try to get the information about all of the apps, flows, Power Virtual Agents that we have inside there, and then from there we'll be able to see that. So here again we do have those flows, and then again few of the flows are kind of an automated flows, few are scheduled, as well as the child flows. So again, we don't have time to go through all of those, but quickly it's like we have a main flow which is this sync template v3, which will clean up your entire tables, and then it will make your table available for all of the other flows that you see in a green kind of an box. And then it will run at a regular interval, and each of the flow will get the information about all of the apps, flows, custom connectors, model driven apps, Power Virtual Agent, desktop flows, and portals, and other things into those tables. And then we do have certain scheduled flows which will just act for the admin part of it, so that we can have some certain kind of an cleanup as well as certain kind of an admin capacity or alerts part of those going on. And then we just have one helper flow which will be used for all of the cloud flow operations. So we have various flows here, but the main intention of this flows is to simply get the information about all of the apps, flows, Power Virtual Agent, custom connectors, environments that we have inside of our Power Platform environment, and then store that entire information into the tables that we have seen before. And then on top of that, we do have certain apps. Again, we do have various apps there. Probably if I can again go back, we have around how many apps? 11 apps, but again all of those are not probably important from everyone's point of view, so we can just concentrate on few of the apps that we have. So what will happen is that this app will get the information from all of these tables, table information, and then it will surface that information to us so that we'll be able to see that and take the actions. So quickly, I just have selected these 5 apps. Again, we do have remaining 6. Probably I will let you to explore those apps. But for these 5 major apps that we have in as a part of core assets, so first one that we have is this DLP editor. And again, for example, if I go back to my apps and then again try to search for that DLP editor. So this one is by name says that this one is for the data loss prevention. So it will help all of the DLP policies being shown as a list of apps and flows that are impacted by your policy configurations. And again, this one applies to all of the changes to the DLP policies, and then see what impact each changes will have, and all those things. So at this moment, I don't have any of the DLP policies set in my organization. But again, for example, if you can go there and start exploring all of the DLP policies, and onto the right hand side here will be a drop down through which you will be able to see all of the DLP policies per your environment. So this is one important app. The second one important app that we have here is this app catalog. So this is nothing but a canvas app that will help give visibility to a certain apps inside of your organization, and then admin can choose which app to highlight as an app catalog inside of your environment. So firstly, when you will open up this app catalog, it will be entirely empty because your admin hasn't posted any of the apps here as a app your organization wants to promote. But then again, what we can do is here we have another app called as Power Platform Admin View somewhere here. Yeah. So we can just open up that app, and then again inside that app, this one is a model driven app now, and then in this app we have information about the all of the other apps that we have. So here we can be able to see all of those. So let's say for example, if I just click on apps and then again I just select one of the app to start with. Let's say we select the COE starter kit, or sorry, COE theme gallery to start with. And then again, we have something called as audit here. And under the audit, we have these 2 buttons showing that do we want to promote this particular app in the app catalog. Let's say, for example, we say yes, as well as do we want to get this app featured. So that means there are 2 types of apps, like just the apps which can be shown in your app gallery, but at the same time, do you want to have that as a featured app inside of your organization so that everyone can start looking into it, start using those. So once we save that, while it is saving, let me just refresh this. So this app catalog will get populated, and all of the apps that our admin wants to promote, we will be able to see all of those apps here. So I hope this one, okay, this one is still saving, but what we can do is we can use this admin view to check what kind of an app we want to promote inside of our organization. So now that this one is done, yeah, now that you can see that this is the app that our admin wants everyone to use. So this is how we'll be able to build our own app catalog inside of the organization and then start promoting the app. And then again, we do have certain other apps like set app permissions, probably here, set app permissions as well as, let me just, and then again we do have set flow permissions. So simply even by name we can recognize this app will help you to discover apps by the app name, and then this will help you to set the new app owner as well as add new viewers, editors, as well as even remove the app permissions or change the app permissions from this app. So let's say we go to this app and I can just select this app. We can click on this add permission. I can start typing the username, and then the user will appear, and then from here we'll be able to select the user role. For example, for on this particular app I want to make this user as a owner. I can go ahead, click save, and this user will be a owner of the app now. So we have those good apps available. And then again, lastly, with that, we will have our entire core component setup. And now that let's move to the governance components that we have. So again, means after we have familiarized ourselves with all of the environment and resources, we might want to start thinking about the governance processes for our apps, and we might want to gather additional information about the apps from the app makers or the audit specific connectors or the app usage. And this governance component solution contains all of those assets which are relevant to your admins as well as the makers. So again, we have all of those uh, tables, flows, as well as apps there. So again, there is a huge listing of all of those. Probably the time will not permit to get us through all of those. But again, we have certain tables here. So first table that we have as a part of governance asset is this archive approval, which represents the archival approval task started during the app archive as well as the cleanup flow. And at the same time, we do have also certain flows around the governance assets.
Yeah, so here are these governance asset flows, and you can see they are automated, scheduled, and instant as per the color. So we will not go deeply due to this time. So the first one is to this flow runs daily and check whether a new environment of type Microsoft Teams has been created. This flow also sends a welcome email to a new team owner to provide them with future information about their environment. Then we have this weekly cleanup of Microsoft Teams environment. So this flow runs weekly and deletes the environment have been not created more than 7 days ago and have no business justification or have been created more than 90 days ago. Then we do have this archive and cleanup V2. So it checks for the apps that have been modified or launched in the last 6 months. Then we do have this admin archive and cleanup V2 start approval for flows. So similar to the previous flow, but for the flows rather than the apps. So this flow checks for the flows that haven't been modified in the last 6 months. Then we have this admin archive and cleanup V2. So on a scheduled interval, it checks for approval responses created by the start approval flows described above and if newly approved. Then we do have this archive and cleanup V2. So it runs on a daily basis and then the cleanup of the task. So delete the timeout request and delete the flows and the apps. So here are so many flows we have, but due to this time constraint, we cannot go through each of them.
Yeah, and then related to this, we also have certain apps, because apps is the probably one thing where we can concentrate more. So we have this first app called as a cleanup old objects app. So as a makers are asked to respond if the objects are still useful with the archival flows above. They will sometimes ignore this task, and in that case, a flow above will send their managers this particular kind of an email, and all of those will be able to track from this app. And then again, we do have another app here called as App and Flow Archive and Cleanup View. Probably I can show you those quickly, but again, I don't think I will have any information there as such. So let me just close out these two. So firstly, let's get into this clean up old objects app that we have. So as I said, everyone will get the information to look into, and then we will be able to see that like which are the apps that need some kind of a cleanup. For example, if they haven't been used. Similarly, the other one which we had was this app and flow archive and cleanup view. It will also for the same process, so that we want to set a governance. We don't want everyone to directly start creating the apps, and then again those apps will be unused. So all of those apps based on these their status, as well as the flows based on the status, we will be able to see. And for example, if that app or flow hasn't been used for a longer time, it will go for the approval to the creator that whether they want to still use that, and if they say no, it will be cleaned up. And then again, we saw this developer compliance center, how it can be used for carrying out the auditing process. Now that let's look into these nurture components, which is an essential part of establishing the COE. And again, nurturing your makers and internal community, and you will want to share the best practices, templates, and again onboard those new makers. So again, here we do have certain assets, including those tables, flows, and apps, and then let's have a look at those very quickly.
So here is a in a day attendees. So represent the attendees that have registered for a training in a day. In a day event represents available training events, creating to a training in a day management canvas app. Then this assessment categories such as data, audience, support, and the assessment question used in a market assets apps, and these answer options, the potential answers to the question in a market assets apps. Then we do have this nurture flows, assets flows. So over here, you can see the first one sends a weekly email with a summary of products updates. Then attending in a day feedback reminder sends an email to the attendees of a training event on a day and request for the feedback. Then this third one sends an email to attendees on the event of the day and request for the feedback. And the last one sends a reminder email to an attendees of a training in a day event 3 days before the event.
And again, top of that, we do have certain apps. Probably I can go into the portal and start showing you those apps. Let me just close down the one which we don't need. Okay, so here we have certain apps like Maker Assessment Admin app. Let me just go there. So this app, this is again a kind of a canvas app that will allow your admins as well as users to enter and update the questions, answer, and categories that are listed inside of your app. And from this is the information that we are going to use in our next app, which is a Maker app. So this Maker app will be available to you. Okay, sorry, let me just close this out. So this Maker app uh, will be used by the users whenever someone wants to create any of the apps. So again, we can just put our solution name here. Okay, let it be. And then again, some kind of a description. We can just click start, and then again, all of the assessment that we had created before, like the use case, audience, complexity, and data, we will be able to use that. So let's say, for example, I want to build a chat bot, and then again, I want to use it for maybe daily operations kind of a purpose. And then again, we have other questions around the audience and other part. Let's say we want this to be used by all of the employees, so we can start giving answers to everyone, and at the end when we will click on submit, it will analyze that, and then it will show us like what kind of an licenses as well as what kind of an solutions our app will need. And then from here we can see that we probably need a premium license and another part. So before you start creating those, probably this is the best place to start with. And then again, we do have certain apps called as template catalog. Probably I can show you that quickly. So this template catalog is again a canvas app that COE admins can use to share app and the component templates in addition to the best practice documents and their makers. So means all of these kind of an apps will help in your organization to nurture all of those practices and other things. But yeah, Miss, quickly let's move forward, and then let's see how we can set up that COE starter kit. So this is the URL from where you'll be able to see the COE starter kit. I have it open, and then from here we have the entire information about the COE starter kit. Once you click on download, here is a GitHub link through which you will be able to download that. So you can get to this, and then again we have various zip files available here down, which are with audit logs, core components, nurture component, and other part. So we can start using that. And then again, prerequisites is like we should have the admin account, we should have the environment with Dataverse or Dataverse for Teams at least. And on to the licensing part, at least we will need premium license for all the users who are interacting with the COE starter kit. So it could be either Power Apps per user per app or Power Automate per user per app kind of a license. And then again, quickly we can set up those COE starter kit by downloading those zip files. Firstly, start by setting up those core components. All of the instructions are mentioned here. And then again, we can just start following those instructions because Microsoft recommend us to um, create these connectors first, which you can see here. And then once we do all those connectors, the next step is that we should activate all of those flows based on the sequence which is given here. So just do that, and then we should be able to see that entire COE core component setup. Similar steps we do have for the governance component, and then again we have a nurture components which is available, and then optionally we can set up that Power BI dashboard which we show you at the start. And then again quickly we do have this theming component. So again, theming is kind of a frequent ask from the entire organization, so that we want to have a consistent look and feel. So here we have those three assets, including this theme editor app, theme gallery, as well as the shared component app. And then again, we do have certain tables around that, like a theme and style. And then we have those two apps. Probably I can show you that again quickly, like theme editor and theme gallery. Even from name, it is self-explanatory that the theming app will help you to create the themes, and the other app will help you to, okay, let me just search for those. Probably I might have not installed it here. Okay, but at least simply that this theming component will help you to uh, create those themes which you will be able to use consistently in all of the apps that you have inside your organization. And then once you do that, again, let's see how we can set up those theming components. Same thing that we should have these prerequisites, which is allow publishing of Canvas app with code components enabled inside of your organization. Once we do that, import the solution, and then we'll be able to see all of those. Okay, then now that quickly, let's see the limitations, because each of the products comes with the limitation. And again, we do have certain limitations here for COE as well.
So there is no one size fits all or solutions for COE, and some companies will want a restrictive set of rules and their organization in hopes of mitigating the unknown, while the others will want to let users personally explore without the limitation. So the over here are some of these, the like long running floats, then the incomplete inventory, updating environment variables, then flow that are imported or owned by a service principal, and timeouts in the admin and a sync template v3.
Okay, and now that we have certain references for that, for example, if you want to start using this COE starter kit, here are a few of the references now, like how we can get the guidance around the COE component, as well as from where we will be able to get those. And then just follow those links, just read it out. And for example, if you want to set a good governance around all of your Power Platform environment in your organization, COE starter kit will be helpful for you. And with that, thank you very much for having us here. Thank you for giving us opportunity to present this session in front of you. So thank you very much, D365 champs, for hosting us. And if you have any Q&As, probably we can start looking into those.
Yes, we have a couple of questions as well. First question from Vipin Kumar. Any operations create, update, read, delete performed on Dataverse as part of the COE kit components will impact service protection API limits?
No, miss, at least all of those APIs have, or all of those flows have been designed so that there will not be any of those, because all of those flows are coming right from the Microsoft solutions. So they have taken care of all those limitations, as well as even throttling, as well as other things that they have been taken care of. And again, we have been successfully using this inside of our organization for past 8 months or so. So we haven't experienced of that sort.
Another question from Vipin. Does app permission, flow permission request goes through any approval process?
Yeah, Miss, at least what they will do is they will all of those flows will send notification to each of the user, for example, or I will say each of the app maker. For example, if their app is not being modified or used within past 15 days or even 30 days, even it can be configured, and then it will ask you to approve. Do you want to use this app or flow, or do you want to continue using this app or flow in your organization? For example, if you don't do that, it will simply archive your app or flow, and then it won't be available for the other users, because the main intention here is that everyone in the organization, they just keep using those apps or keep creating those app and flows, but at the end probably they are not effectively used or not at all used. And then we want to have certain governance around that so that we'll be able to detect those and then probably archive those.
Okay. Another question from Vipin Kumar. Do we foresee any performance impact by installing the COE starter kit in an organization?
All of these flows will run in the background, so there will not be any performance impact to your apps or flows which are running inside of your organization. And again, all of those flows, once you import the solution inside of your environment, can be configured. So if you think of any of these situation, probably you can go ahead, turn off any of the flow if needed, or even modify the flow if needed.
Okay, great. A last question from our side is recommendation is to set up COE starter kit in development environment, but not in the QA, UAT or production environment.
No, not like that. Probably I will say we should set up that into the test environment first, but it is definitely a huge gain. For example, if you start using that onto the production environment, because it is the environment where you want to help your app makers in the organization to get to the better.
Okay. Any more questions, team? Uh, I don't think that we have any questions so far. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. We really appreciate your presence. We hope that you are taking away some powerful learning from this session. Thanks to Nandip and Smita for an amazing session on Explore Microsoft Power Platform COE Excellence and sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. And again, here are a few of our social handlers. So, for example, if you have any queries after the session, please feel free to get in touch with us. Yeah, yeah. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Nandeep and Smita, for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much